Hi, Ron and Ernie.
How you doing?
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about Fred Jones. I would love to know the first time. Do you remember the first time that you met Fred? And
Well,
what was your impression of him?
he was a young, what would you say?
Go-getter.
Yeah,
Go-getter. He
40 years ago.
yeah, he knew his stuff. We met him before we met him. Whenever we would play Memphis, we always sold out. And when we got ready to do our own tours, that is, paying for everything, it was suggested that we use somebody named Fred Jones. And who's that? Remember, y'all do well in Memphis, right? It's like, that's him.
That's all right.
And so, between Kelly, Rudolph, and Ronald, they gave their consent for that.
Okay, so that's how you met Fred?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So tell me about your professional relationship with him. How long was he with you guys? And
Well, we started to do our own tours, and that was the first time that we decided to do our own shows. And we had somebody that was experienced enough to do those shows, which was Fred Jones. And although he seemed like a real young guy that played golf a lot, but we said we wanted to do our own shows. So the promotion, just the everything, So we hired a couple of other people that Fred knew, and it was just successful all the way. We just had all kind of fun, and he became like another brother to us, and we stayed together. I don't know how many years, about 10, 12?
Yeah, 10 through 83 at least.
Yeah.
77 through like 83.
Yeah.
so how would you describe Fred as a businessman?
He was one of the smartest black men that we met at that time, and that's what we liked about it, because that's the way our business was handled. Just expertise, and that's what was very important back there at the time, when the other people were like Earth, Wind and Fire and Commodores and the OJs and those people. They kind of took, so a great lesson after us,
Yes.
To
Yes.
try to do some of their shows. Yeah.
So what impact did Fred have on you personally and the band?
It was, we sit around and talked a lot about, the things that we're trying to do and the things that other groups and other people wanted to do, and really, just the whole business. And my other brothers, Kelly and Rudolph, we would sit down and talk about everything, the money, the other people that we want to work for, with us, the percentages of everything, we were playing places that hold 20,000, 22,000.
There was an artist at CBS that was a part of Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. His name is Teddy Pendergrass. And he was going to do a solo career. And he reached out to Kelly, our eldest brother. And between Kelly and Fred, really, it was decided that we would have Teddy Pendergrass as the opening act when he first started as a solo act. Now, see, that was essential for him because, you got a chance to play all of these places in front of the Isley Brothers, and it increased his audience. And it also, also part of our show, we're all on the same label as far as CBS was concerned, but it helped him, and it certainly was a plus for us to have Teddy Pendergrass as he was starting out as a solo artist, opening for the Isley Brothers. So that was one of the things.
Artists. We had Cameo. Was
Cameo.
One of the artists. And Gap Band was one of the artists everywhere with us.
Yeah, SOS Band, baby, we
SOS,
could do it, take your time, do it right.
Yeah. Madison Square Garden, Stephanie Mills, Teddy Pendergrass was
Mm-hmm.
the 3 artists that we had there. And it was sellouts everywhere, you know. We had special parties after the show, you know. We had wined and dined everybody who would come to town.
Kelly and Ronald always had the presidential suite.
Yeah, they had all kind of food
So-
and stuff like that when we were there, you know, and we just all had a ball. And, you know, we weren't known none of the Isleys did any drugs, and Fred was the person that didn't do anything, you know. So it had clean fun, you know. It was
So
good.
would you describe Fred as an ordinary or an extraordinary?
He was like a brother, man. We had, you know, we'd talk about the albums, what we were going to record the next time, or what kind of album. He would, you know, listen to the songs and say, we did a Fight the Fire.
Yeah,
And
he loved it.
You know, he became one of us.
yeah, and he was extraordinary.
Yeah.
He made an essential contribution for where we were trying to go in terms of our tours. There was things that he would suggest, and you know, Kelly, Rudolph, and Ronald, you know, down at the office, they decide, well, this is how we're going to do this tour this year. These are the buildings we're going to play. This would be the outlay for the budgets. And it was very involved, but because of Fred's experience, it was a great plus for us.
Tell us something that no one knows during those times about Fred.
Wow, you know, he had a couple of girls. We had a couple of girls that, you know, that liked him. You know, we said, hey, Fred, you gonna marry this girl? La, 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 la. You know, Fred just all business. He was like a little, like some of the movies that you would see. At the time, Isaac Hayes was a big artist. He did. I think he did shows with Isaac Hayes at first, you know, and Isaac Hayes became like Moses to the people, you know. And so we would come to Memphis. Me and my brother would come to Memphis and just kicking it, just chilling out, just promoting a new album that we had out, you know, just. Like once again, we had the kind of friendship that he was one of the brothers.
On the family,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm interested, Ron and Ernie, are you familiar with any obstacles that Fred faced as an African American man at that time?
No, I wouldn't be.
No,
Nothing I
no.
wouldn't
He seemed if he had any opposition, he seemed to be able to get beyond it because of his skill and because of what he represented as a businessman. So between that and his personality, you know, just like if there were any obstacles, and I imagine there were, but he was able to get past that.
And Fred comes across as a very gracious man and smart, steady. Is that right? Is that
Yes.
accurate?
Yes.
Yeah. So, how has he handled you mentioned a little bit about his personal life, professionally, back in those days. How would you describe how he handled his life back then? Because his show business can throw you off, right? You got a lot of things coming at you. How would you describe Fred in that era, handling himself personally?
I would say he had like smooth compartments.
Smooth.
Compartments. It's time to do such and such, and his focus was on that. Now it's time to do so and so, and his focus was on that. So at the T-Net Records office, it wasn't unusual to see Kelly Isley in one room on the phone and Fred Jones in another room on the phone, and occasionally they touch base like, okay, what are you doing? Okay, now let's do this, and then they go back to their separate places. So he was focused, and he was, different compartments. It's like, if it's not time for that now, it's time for this, So his ability to focus and to get something done, get an accomplishment. You know, a lot of times it seems like on the surface, oh, you want to go play the Los Angeles for him? That's easy. It's like, no, it's not. Because then you have to know who to call, who to ask, who to get, you know, there's different things you have to go past. And it seemed like if Fred did not know, he knew how to search that out. So it was like that, you know, you'd be between Kelly and Fred, they'd be on the phones talking all over the United States. Chicago, San Francisco, Houston, Dallas, Miami, you know, because Isley Brothers, we were going, you know, virtually everywhere, you know, New York. So he was focused and able to do certain things when it was time to do it.
And at the time, they had several black promoters. One was Quentin Perry, I know, and you know, and Fred knew all the promoters, you know, and they all had some kind of friendship or something going on at all times. They were trying to outdo us. they would come in town with the Commodores and Earth, Wind, and Fire. You know,
It's competitive.
coming in that same town.
Yeah.
Who's going to get the money first? You know, that type of thing. So
Yeah.
he had to know all that before we would even set up with the tour and be successful.
Tell us your fondest memory of Fred Jones.
Now I have so many memories about the barbecues and and you know the feasts we would have.
Yeah,
In Hawaii,
yeah,
they rented a big yacht. We would have fun on the yacht. The Brothers Johnson.
yeah, yeah.
Who else? The Emotions.
Yes.
And people like that.
And
We
doing
just
the show.
have just crazy fun.
I said one of the fondest is that Kelly invited him, Brother Kelly, invited him, said, Fred, you know, you stay in the hotel? Man, please, I'm gonna stay at my house. So between the office and Alpine, New Jersey, where Kelly was, that's where you would see them. And when it was, you know, okay, the sun comes up, they, you know, get ready and jump in the car and go down to the office together, you know. And it didn't start out that way, but it meshed into that. And that was a real nice thing. It made it all that much more comfortable, and all that much more too, like if you ever had to come up with a decision or you make your mind about something, you could immediately say, Kelly could say Fred so-and-so, or Fred could say Kelly so-and-so. And they have that together.
I remember when he started with the classics, you know, and talking about it, and he was talking about putting it together, and we just sitting and listening, you know, and talking about the Super Bowl and all the football teams and things that they done. And we knew then, so man, you know, it's gonna be hard. You're gonna have to go through some people, you know, and that's gonna be hard for you to become what you want to become. And so he had that type of energy that he wanted to try that. And, you know, and that was a thing that he tried and put a lot of things off. You know, stopped doing a lot of things, stopped booking a lot of shows. He would book some shows, but his heart was into, I'm going to do this thing with the classics. You know, every year we would get something in the mail.
Yeah.
All right, he's doing this. And he would do stuff with
and it was growing.
Marlboro cigarettes and stuff. We would do, I don't know, about 10 or 20 shows with him, you know, some of the years, but his thing was the classics, and he wanted to pull this off. This had never been done before with anybody else, and he wanted to do that and make that a important thing here in Memphis, and he did so. And we really have to applaud him for that, you know. And that took all of his time at some time.
Any funny stories? Anything in particular that was really funny that happened
Funny.
with Fred?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I would say
You know,
I
all
would,
kind
I
of-
would think I would think he was I think somewhat surprised how close that we were as brothers, and it was a pleasant surprise. It put a smile on his face, and so that kind of put him in on like some inside jokes. I mean, there was a fight between Muhammad Ali and Leon Spinks, I think it was at the time. And he and Rudolph had a bet. And I think Rudolph won the bet, but didn't say, Fred, you owe me such and such and such. So, he'd be like, man, if Ali does this fight and he loses, then, Rudolph, you're going to owe Fred such and such, or if vice versa. But it turned out that Rudolph won and let him off the hook. So he laughed. We all had a good laugh about that. I remember around 77, had a good laugh about that.
So don't tell me Fred bet against Muhammad Ali.
Not that you, well, Leon Spinks at the time was an up and coming, guy, and it looked like he might do
He
a
won
little
one
something, something.
fight.
And they did fight twice, but
Won once and
Yeah.
and Ali won the other.
he had won the other one. So, and it's just that, okay, Rudolph let him off the hook.
So you're writing a book. I read are you in the process of writing a book?
I was in at one time, but right now I just
On the back burner?
put that aside. Yeah.
Gotcha. Anything you guys would like to say to Fred today?
Thank you.
Thank you, man, for all those wonderful years. We learned a lot. When I say we learned a lot, for being together, and I like to thank him for all that, and all the fun we had with every one of the brothers.
Yeah.
Even a couple of the brothers are not here, Marvin
Mm-hmm.
and
Kelly.
Kelly,
Mhm.
and I know Fred just feels the same way about them that he does with me and Ernie and Rudy,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll always have a great friendship. Yeah.
Yes.
One of the best friendships.
Yeah.
Something go wrong, Ernie might call Fred and say, I'm mad at Ronald. And Fred will listen.
Mm-hmm.
He won't jump all over the place and with his opinions and stuff like that. He will just listen, and and he knows us.
We did some shows together on one of those years, and it was consecutive nights, and it was a show we had in Florida, and it was a big rainstorm, and there was only one way in at the time and one way out of this place, and it was packed, and I think it was the last tour or the last run that weekend. And at the end, I remember Fred was apologizing. He said, man, the police turned some cars away. We would have completely sold the building out. We might have done like 92 or 93%. We would have done 100% and been turning people away. And he was standing there with this big box after everybody was paid, saying, telling Rudolph, man, I'm sorry. And Rudolph busted out laughing and said, man, Fred, congratulations, man, bravo. Ain't nobody mad, man. We was all laughing about that. That was a real triumph in spite of Mother Nature intervening on that weekend for us. We all were quite happy.